Emir of Qatar gave support to Putin by phone. Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Syrian crisis with the Emir of Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani on Monday, and agreed to make efforts to find a solution. Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke by phone with the Emir of Qatar, who expressed his support for Saturday's attack led by Wagner mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, Sputnik reported in the Kremlin on Monday. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said on Monday that the Russian group Wagnerians' withdrawal of the offensive over the weekend shows that the Kremlin has made a grave mistake in the war against Ukraine. Wagner's troops halted their advance in Moscow, withdrew from the southern Russian city of Rostov, and returned to their base late Saturday as agreed, safely as Russia sought to keep the peace on Monday. The Emir of Qatar thanked Vladimir Putin on Thursday, saying Russia supports the future World Cup. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani also expressed his gratitude to Russia for hosting the 2018 World Cup. Give great support to Qatar, especially in the organization of the 2022 World Cup Organizing Committee, he said. We are grateful for this and appreciate the relationship. It will last until the end of the World Cup. Nice to meet you, sir. Minister. Thank you. The President of Russia wants Qatar to succeed in this year's competition, which will start on November 20th. See you later, said Putin. I wish you success in this beautiful organization. I am sure it will be successful. Not only did the leader say that Russia would help Qatar, the first Arab country to host the World Cup. One of the areas where Qatar is following Russia is by asking fans to sign the Hayaka, a form that needs to be personal. Similar to the Fan ID scheme Russia launched in 2018, fans use Haya digital cards to enter the country and can enter World Cup stadiums only by presenting the card. Russia, who advanced to the quarterfinals as hosts of the 2018 World Cup, were banned from the playoffs for beating Ukraine and therefore could not play in Qatar. FIFA offers workers' compensation, a senior official at Football Association told European lawmakers on Thursday that FIFA wants to help Qatari workers get compensation for injuries caused by the World Cup production. UEFA has stepped up its fundraising calls since Amnesty International said FIFA must pay all proceeds of $440 million for compensation, the equivalent of the 32 FIFA teams that will play in Qatar next month. Since won the World Cup 12 years ago, Qatar has faced intense scrutiny over the physical and contractual nature of the hundreds of thousands of migrant workers the tiny emirate needs. FIFA Vice President Alasdair Bale, speaking at the European Commission's Conference on Workers' Rights in Qatar, said the issue of pay is something we are proud to complete. Speaking to lawmakers from 46 countries at the Group of 46 meeting in Strasbourg, France, Bale said, "It is important to try to make sure that everyone injured by participating in the World Cup receives some compensation." Article: Journalists cannot allow World Cup baptism, Qatar human rights violations. Article: Unacceptable. Qatar World Cup organizers admit they know workers are using the country to impress world football leaders. They criticized Qatar when they met in Doha this year. Lise Klaveness, president of the Norwegian Football Association, told MPs that wage protection should be the main focus of FIFA's post-World Cup efforts to make a good impact in Qatar. It is difficult to organize but necessary and the same as the history of torture, injury and death, he said, adding that the lack of an independent investigation into the unexplained death of Qatari workers is room. In Elephant's FIFA bail agrees with Claphams that reparations are not the easiest to implement and need clear rules and oversight. But it's definitely something we want to accelerate, he said. Permanent change needed. On Thursday, it was not clear whether the payments will come from FIFA, the Qatari authorities, or construction companies that hire workers mostly from South Asia and the Philippines. Human Rights Watch said in August, citing government documents, that Qatar has set up a support fund for workers and has paid $164 million in compensation to more than 36,000 workers from 17 different countries since 2020. Chapter. It's not just talk, it's real, and it has had some great results, improving the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, Bell said. The risk is that once the World Cup is over and the limelight is lost, it's important that these changes stay and build in the Middle East and hopefully spread further to the Middle East. Bell says it's also important for immigrants to have access to a safe space to know your legal rights in Qatar, an important Crovines project supported by the International Human Football Federation FIFPro. Qatari state media reported that Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of Qatar, received a phone call from Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Thursday, telling him about the latest developments in Ukraine. In the statement, it was added that Sani asked everyone to act with restraint and solve the problem through diplomacy.